plotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Netflix buffering, YouTube spinning, devices not connecting, Zoom calls dropping. It's frustrating. Let's end your frustration by signing up for fiber internet in Clinton. Click the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. On Tuesday night, the Clinton YMCA approached the Clinton City Council to present its plans for a new facility. On the WHOW morning show Wednesday, City Administrator Tony Harris told the Heart Media Group that this is another exciting development as many things happen in Clinton.
It complements what we're trying to do downtown. You know, I think that with them being at that location there off of Center Street is just going to add to what we're doing downtown and you know, bring people in the area, in the downtown area. So it's exciting, and it, you know, they've done a great job raising the money, and kudos to them. You know, Rennie mentioned last night that he's looking at the city to provide some assistance. Now, what is that going to look like? I don't know. He brought up a couple different areas that the city could help. One being the TIF district, and again, that we've talked a lot about the TIF district. We're not for sure. We know about where the boundaries are going to go. You know, he brought that up last night. I need to check the map and see if that area is included. If it's not, that's a good talking point. We might need to get that area included. You know, the question is, how can that help?
While having worked in local government nearly his entire professional career, Harris is often reminded how slow things can work in government, but that doesn't change the excitement level of what is happening.
It's a little bit frustrating for me. You know, I've worked in local government my entire life, but not in a role like I'm in now. And, you know, I've always heard that the wheels turn slow in government. And this is where you were going. and that is a true statement. It really is.
Yeah,
you know, I feel like I'm on here and talking about all these good things and what's coming, and yet we still haven't seen a shovel in the ground yet. But I promise the citizens it is coming. We just had some we had a land deal that was closed on a new business that might be coming to town. You know, again, we're in the very early stages of that and can't give a whole lot of details, but it's coming. And I'm hoping that this summer we're going to start really seeing some activity. Now it's just trying to, you know, purchase the land and, you know, those type of things. Yeah. That's kind of a challenge in itself. And that's one reason why we're doing what we're doing. One thing on the agenda was annexation of land to the west. In that area where we want to see growth out there by Sunset Inn, you know, and
As for the city of Clinton financially supporting the YMCA, Harris says that will be something the city will have to analyze. With their commitments to finding a new city hall and police and fire station, the city is committing a lot of resources to those pursuits.
I think that's going to be a big topic of discussion. You know, that's where Clint, our treasurer, is going to have to come in and you know, tell us, you know, what do the books look like. You know, we during the budget negotiations, the mayor and I talked to Clint about, it's no secret, the new fire department, city hall, police department. The mayor is committed to getting those three things going. Especially the fire department. She mentioned last time we were in that, you know, we've been kicking that can down the road for many, many years. So she's committed to that. You know, with that commitment takes a lot of finances to make that happen. So, you know, we might be limited there on what we can provide, but there's other things. One thing that was brought up was, you know, the tapping into the water and sewer, those type of fees, assistance with that, assistance with some road work or sidewalk work. There's lots of ways that we can help. And Commissioner Wise mentioned that last night, just what I mentioned. He's the one that brought that up. So they're talking about, a one-way street, Johnson Street and Macon Street. That's something that we can do to help too. That's been discussed in the past. Last year that was discussed. So there's just going to have to be a lot of discussion going on about that, on the council level, just to see what the appetite is and how much assistance we can provide.
The YMCA has visions of hosting youth sports events at its new facility, noting the economic impacts to the community in that way. Harris says a YMCA that is close to downtown would be a huge win for the community.
That's great. It just goes along with what we're working on now with economic development. I mean, there's Kurt Holman's been in here talking about the hotel study, what you mentioned with bringing different folks in from out of town on, at the YMCA with the events going on. They may want to stay overnight. So we're working on that aspect of it. And, Kurt should be getting that study back anytime here in a couple of weeks, I believe. And we'll know what that looks like. But I mean, I think that's great. And again, I think that's going to help the downtown area. I'm hoping that, that with the YMCA being there and, a block off the square, that's going to promote some growth there too. We're tearing down the building there on the corner of Main and Monroe. What's going to happen there? Well, the first step was get those buildings down that were beyond repair and just see what happens with that. We have no plans for that right now. Right now we're concentrating on making sure we're not, with that demo anyway, making sure that we are not creating, problems for the neighboring buildings, like flood problems. So we're, in the middle. We just got approved last night also the waterproofing of the surrounding buildings. We want to make sure, because of that demo, that we're not creating a water problem there. So that's one thing that was approved.
The YMCA leadership on Tuesday night indicated they would hope to see the final phase of fundraising for the first phase of the project complete, with dirt to be moved by the spring of 2027. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, DeWitt Savings Bank warns against tech support scams. The schoolhouse and nature center at Weldon Springs are great places for kids to learn about the environment, and soon they will have a new display to view. Patty Kinder with the Weldon Springs Foundation explains that she is overhauling the Nature Center's tree display. With the help of a group of students, she says they plan to make the piece 3D.
Then in the Nature Center, we have a lot of, again, taxidermied animals. We have different displays. I'm working on changing the display of the trees. I'm going to make it more of a woody type of an area, and I want to do 3D. And I've actually gotten a little bit of help from the homeschooling group that I have out there.
Yeah, sure.
And the Tree Commission has given us some products that we're going to be using to bump up that display. Right now, it's all in my mind. I want it to come out from the wall, like have the leaves of a tree. The trunk of the tree will also kind of come out. My vision, I have a bee's nest that I want to hang from the ceiling, and that'll have to have help from the men that work there. Hang it from the ceiling as if it's coming out of the tree.
Right.
But then have that deciduous forest look where you have the top canopy, you have what's in the understory, you have everything in the middle, and just kind of bring out nature.
Kinder would like the project to be completed by the fall. She plans to add on to it even more in the future with the change of seasons. She hopes the display can be an ever-evolving statement piece in the Nature Center for students to learn from.
I make sure to tell people I'm doing it, so it's going to get done.
Yeah.
I think by the end of the summer, I'd like it to be as complete as needed, so that when people come in next year, it's like, bam, right there. Might need a little bit more tweaking. And I do want it to add to it. Throughout the years. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Change it up a little bit. Maybe in the fall, put fall leaves. In the springtime, maybe take down the big canopy and make it all just plain and bare, so that you can kind of see the eagle's nest or the hawk's nest that's being built. Well, looking online, looking for different things, I've found some really neat stuff, and I
Wow.
found that this here is something I can actually do. I wanted to do something different with the wildflowers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen in my little building.
Mhm,
So the
mhm.
tree, I think, will.
Hundreds of guests visit the schoolhouse and nature center at Weldon Springs each year. Learn more about the state park and the Weldon Springs Foundation by visiting WSFIL.org. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Looking for a new Silverado? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We have a good selection of new Silverado inventory. We have Silverados in 1500s, 2500s, and 3500s with several trim levels, custom, LT, RST, LTZ, and yes, even high countries. All our inventory is priced for our summer savings season. Baum Chevrolet Buick. Together, let's drive. BaumChevroletBuick.com right from the start.
It's the quiet moments you count on. A call that connects instantly, a show that never buffers, a home that just works. That's the difference with Connexus Fiber Internet. We built a buried fiber network designed for consistency, earning us the title of top-rated fiber internet provider in Illinois. With plans starting as low as $25 a month and 3-year price lock options, it's reliability you can feel without the unpredictability. Because with Connexus, connection means everything. Experience better at Connexus.com. Nothing Connexus like Connexus.
News time is 20 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. A local financial advisor says scammers are putting new spins on old tricks to get you to hand over your money. Connie Miller with the DeWitt Savings Bank indicates that she has recently been hearing about scams related to computers and supposed tech support representatives telling you that there are viruses on your PC that are not really there.
Oh man, it's been a crazy spring summer. I guess it's always crazy. It's the same. It's just twisted. So we still have people calling people and saying crazy things like your computer's infected, you have porn on your computer, and you're going to be found out. And a lot of people still getting phishing malware on their computers as well. And then you get the Microsoft person who calls you or gets on your computer and, says you have to pay all this money because you have this stuff on your computer. We've had several of those lately, and they tell you crazy things like they're part of the government, they're part of the IRS, the FTC, and they're going to help you.
This scam relies on people moving money from one account into another that the scammer created for you. Miller says this should be an immediate red flag, as creating a bank account for another person is illegal.
And what we've seen is you need to move money from your bank accounts into another bank account that we set up for you, which is not legit. No, you can't do that. So that should be a red flag.
Yep.
Anybody reaching out to you is a red flag. If your computer's not working and someone figures it out, and says, hey, I can help you, this is Microsoft or whoever, that no one's going to reach out to you. So, and if you haven't put child pornography on your computer, then it's not legit. And they're not showing you things on your computer. So those are things to remember when you're having issues like this, and report it immediately to someone you trust, to the police. Report it immediately. People get scared. They start sending money and paying for things that are not necessary. So don't stop. Think about it. Does this make sense? And they don't want you to tell your family members. They don't want you to tell the people at the bank. We've had several people come into the bank and their phone's ringing off the hook while they're trying to do these transactions. And we'll ask, well, can we talk to them? Because usually the person is confused and then the person will hang up. And that's a red right there. That's a red flag that it's fraud.
Miller says if you willingly hand over your money to a fraudster, there is little that can be done from the bank's perspective to get it back. The willing nature of the transaction means it is not covered by insurance.
unfortunately, a lot of elderly people are the targets to these frauds. You'll hear, but this person is real and they're coming to America and I'm paying for them to come to America, or I'm paying for their surgery, or I'm paying for this. And we really have no choice. We have to follow their instructions. We can warn them and say, are you sure? This sounds like it could be fraud. And, go through the steps with them. We have questionnaires that we work with them. But a lot of times they just do it anyway. And the thing is, if you wire your money out, it's hard to get it back. If you willingly transfer your money to someone else, you have made a choice to transfer your money there. So in most cases, we cannot get it back. There are times that we can ask for it back or try to get it back, but 9 times out of 10, that person has already closed that account. And a lot of the elderly people will wait, or they won't realize they were defrauded until a little bit later, and it's too late. That account's been closed and that money's gone.
If you suspect you have been the victim of a scam, report it to your bank and the authorities immediately. Learn more about the DeWitt Savings Bank by going to DeWittSavingsBank.com or by finding their Facebook page. The U.S. Department of Transportation has a new registration system for the trucking industry. It's called MOTUS, and Don Schaefer with Springfield, Illinois-based Midwest Truckers Association is getting plenty of questions about it.
Well, FMCSA had set up, the arbitrary deadline of May 14th to get all logged into the new MOTUS system. So we're a month past that. Carriers still cannot get into it. They either can't even get in, or they get the infamous 404 failure on the computer screen, or everything just locks up. It has been a real headache. It's not, the login's not working. And we've had, just hundreds of members call us, trying to help them through this whole process. And very few have been able to get through, get it done for what they want right now. So our advice, be patient, go ahead, go back on. If you can't get through, don't worry about it. Don't pull your hair out. Try again in a couple of days. There's millions of people who are trying to do the same thing, to get millions of trucks, I should say, enrolled in this program. And it's just going to take time. So, don't worry about the May 14th deadline. We'll just keep pushing through.
The website is motus.dot.gov. Illinois Farm Bureau actively engaged students of the month. We'll hear from Chad Pregacki this week. He will speak at the banquet in Normal. Pregacki is well known for removing trash from the Mississippi River, a quest that started when he was 17.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's a huge honor. And then the audience is really an audience that I work with a lot, with FFA and 4-H and a lot of ag type groups, throughout the different states we've been in. But as far as I think, my story, it is what it is, but, I was never necessarily the best student. I wasn't necessarily the smartest student, but I saw a problem, wanted to do something about it. You don't need a master plan always. You just learn as you go. And it's really about, the story of the power of one, but the power of many at the same time. And it's just about, if you see something, you can do it. And it's a perfect example of exactly that. And good things can come and you can make change, but change doesn't necessarily happen overnight. It's kind of like my barge. It's really heavy. It's really big. It's slow to get going. But once it starts, it builds momentum and it's hard to stop. And so, a lot of different messages within, but I like the age of the group. And I just think I'm really honored to be there.
Since 1988, his Living Lands and Waters group has removed over 14 million pounds of trash from the Illinois, Mississippi, and Ohio rivers. Pregracki will speak at the Illinois Farm Bureau Actively Engaged Student of the Month banquet on Thursday. June Dairy Month is a good time to talk about the 2025 to 2030 dietary guidelines, says Monica Nyman with the St. Louis District Dairy Council.
3 servings of dairy comes from the dietary guidelines because of the nutritional profile of the dairy food groups. So in this new version that came out in 2025, one of the big differences was that it does recommend that we can have full fat dairy, right? That has not been in the dietary guidelines in the past. And the reason for that is because the science is showing that the full fat dairy products that are occurring naturally are not as bad for us as we once originally thought. So I always kind of tie this back to when I first was a dietitian many years ago. We used to say that eggs had a lot of cholesterol. You shouldn't be eating them. But then over time, the research has showed us that the cholesterol in eggs is not directly increasing our blood cholesterol levels. So that's not in the dietary guidelines anymore. So this is a similar situation. In the nutrition world, there's a lot of research that goes on, and the results of those research translates into changes or change of recommendations for different things.
In addition to these guidelines, Nyman says President Trump recently signed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act of 2025. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Secretary of War Hegseth did not sugarcoat his remarks to the NATO allies. Speaking today in Brussels, he criticizes some European countries who he says are not doing enough to provide for their own defense. Hegseth announcing a 6-month Pentagon review of American forces stationed in Europe. Labeled a Memorandum of Understanding, it has been signed by the presidents of the United States and Iran. Among other things, the MOU, which also states that Iran may not purchase or produce nuclear weapons, calls for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran gets an end of all military action, and that includes action in Lebanon. As Russia launches more overnight attacks on Ukraine, Ukraine responds, hitting a Moscow oil refinery with drones, attacking it for the second time in a week. Dow futures up 213 points. More details, srnnews.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In a game heard on WHOW, Cody Bellinger hit an early homer and finished a triple shy of the cycle. Paul Goldschmidt homered for the third time in 4 games, and the surging New York Yankees used another big inning to beat the Chicago White Sox 10-5 on Wednesday night.
An early 4-run deficit put the White Sox in some peril Wednesday night in the Big Apple, but Colson Montgomery gave the Sox some hope with a 3-run blast in the third.
There's a swing and a fly ball out of the right. It's back there. It is gone. Well, they're right back in it.
Unfortunately, that's as close as the Sox would get because the dam broke in the 5th when Paul Goldschmidt, for the second straight night, homered to put the game out of reach, despite Colson's first career multi-homer game.
There's a swing and a fly ball, pretty well hit out into deep right center field. Bellinger back, and it's a home run. Colson with his second home run tonight.
Sox try to salvage a game in the series with a win in the Bronx Thursday night. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame show coverage starting at 5:30 on the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The Sox will look to avoid the series sweep tonight against the Yankees on WHOW. Pregame starts at 5:30 p.m. Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill each drove in 2 runs and finished with 3 hits as the San Diego Padres avoided a series sweep with a 6-1 win over the St. Louis Cardinals on Wednesday. Tatis, who also stole a base, is 17 for 48, or batting .354, with 4 doubles and a home run in his last 11 games. Merrill highlighted his 3-hit effort with a 2-run homer in the 9th inning, his 8th of the season. San Diego pounded out 14 hits, but went 4 for 14 with runners in scoring position and left 10 runners on base. In consecutive losses to St. Louis, the Padres had scored just 2 runs and managed 5 total hits. Griffin Canning, who is 1-5, worked 4 1/3 innings, allowing 4 hits and a run in relief. It was his 6th career relief appearance. He has made 8 starts this season. Bradley Rodriguez started the second bullpen game of the series for the Padres. He pitched the first inning. Kyle Leahy is 5-4 and pitched 6 innings in taking the loss as the Cardinals had their 6-game home winning streak halted. Merrill singled in the first inning, sending Samad Taylor to third. Manny Machado's sacrifice fly scored Taylor, giving the Padres a 1-0 lead. San Diego made it 2-0 in the 4th inning when Xander Bogaerts' 1-out RBI single scored Machado, who led off the inning with a double. The Padres extended their lead to 3-0 in the 5th on an RBI double by Tatis. His run-scoring single in the 9th accounted for the final run. St. Louis cut San Diego's lead to 3-1 when Alec Burleson extended his hitting streak to 17 games with an RBI single in the 5th. After a day off on Thursday, the Padres send right-hander Randy Vasquez against the Rangers on Friday. Vasquez is 6-4 with a 3.63 ERA. Texas has yet to name a starter. Cardinals lefty Matthew Liberatore is 3-3 with a 4.71 ERA and takes on Royals lefty Noah Cameron, who is 3-4 with a 4.11 ERA in Kansas City on Thursday. Dansby Swanson and Pete Crow Armstrong homered as the Chicago Cubs beat the Colorado Rockies 8-6 on Wednesday night. Swanson launched a 2-run shot during the Cubs' 7-run second inning, and Crow Armstrong added his 15th of the season in the 4th to help Chicago take 2 of 3 games in the series. Colorado rookie Sterling Thompson hit his first 2 Major League home runs. Hunter Goodman and Kyle Carros also went deep for the Rockies. Javier Assad is 5-1 and won his 2nd consecutive start, giving up 2 runs and 5 hits in 5 2/3 innings. Jacob Webb worked the 9th for his 2nd save. Sean Sullivan is 0-1, making his 2nd career start, and was tagged for 8 runs and 9 hits in 4 innings. Matt Shaw got the Cubs going in the 2nd with a 2-run triple, and Carson Kelly followed with an RBI double to set the stage for Swanson's first home run since May 18th. Seiya Suzuki added a run-scoring double, and Alex Bregman hit a sacrifice fly that made it 7-0. Thompson had solo shots off Assad in the third and the fifth. Goodman hit a 2-run homer, his 21st this season, off Ethan Roberts in the eighth. Caros connected off Webb in the ninth. The Rockies lefty Kyle Freeland is 1-7 with a 7.98 ERA and is scheduled to face right-hander Bubba Chandler, who's 2-7 with a 4.76 ERA when Pittsburgh comes to Denver to begin a 3-game series on Friday night. The Cubs have not announced a starter for Friday's afternoon series opener against the visiting Toronto. In scores from around the MLB yesterday, the New York Mets routed the Cincinnati Reds 9-1, while the Kansas City Royals beat the Washington Nationals 6-2. The Miami Marlins took down the Philadelphia Phillies 12-4, while the San Francisco Giants beat the Atlanta Braves 7-2. The Houston Astros took down the Detroit Tigers 4-2, while the LA Dodgers beat the Tampa Bay Rays 5-4. The Arizona Diamondbacks took down the Los Angeles Angels 8-1, while the Boston Red Sox were shut out by the Toronto Blue Jays 3-0. The San Francisco Giants beat the Atlanta Braves 7-5, while the Milwaukee Brewers beat the Cleveland Guardians 9-4. The Baltimore Orioles beat the Seattle Mariners 5-3, and the Pittsburgh Pirates routed the Athletics 12-4. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your regional radio forecast.